How to study effectively for a long time. 1. Time. If you want to be the best of the best in a particular area of knowledge, you have to spend at least 10,000 hours of actual practice and study. However, Josh Kaufman contradicts these notions and suggests that you only need 20 hours to master a new knowledge or skill. If we can get past the discomfort and frustration of the initial learning phase in the first 20 hours, we can master a whole new field very easily. 20 hours equals 2 nights of sleep equals 1 week of entertainment sounds pretty good. I mean 20 hours to study a college textbook. 2. Case study. Efficient use of time. Case study. Learn more knowledge, do more things. This is simply full of knowledge and spirit. Scott Young taught himself all 33 courses in MIT's fabled computer science curriculum, from linear algebra to theory of computation, in 12 months. At his pace, it would take him about 1.5 weeks to finish a course. This is the most fulfilled person I have ever met in college. I have done a very careful collation of his learning methods, how to not waste the time of college. War Falcon comments as follows: A. Study 10 hours a day, about 10 days to take an exam, and pass. This learning efficiency is very high, not to mention repeated 33 times. It is not difficult to concentrate for a short time when learning new knowledge, but after some time, if you cannot relax well, as long as it lasts about 2 or 3 months, you will reach a bottleneck. Understanding ability and psychological state cannot continue. This bottleneck will repeat. Just as many people can persist in the first few months of postgraduate entrance examination, but cannot persist after June or August. There is a tipping point after 3 repetitions or so, after which it is easy to continue. B. Deliberate practice. There is no such thing as edutainment. A famous violinist once said that if you practice your fingers, you can practice all day. But if you are practicing your brain, you can practice 2 hours a day. Experts practice for up to 1 to 1.5 hours at a time and up to 4 to 5 hours a day. No one can take more. The average female football fan may think that a star like Beckham is cute. What they may not know is that few players can complete the intensity of Beckham's training because it is so hard. 3. Implementability. When learning a new subject, it is not difficult to focus for short periods, and deliberate practice. Experts practice for up to 1 to 1.5 hours at a time and up to 4 to 5 hours a day. No one can take more. Combined with our goal of 20 hours to learn a textbook, we can conclude that we are not strictly deliberate practice. Our intensity is not as high as that foreign kid, and only 20 hours after a round. Even if it is carried out in the way of deliberate practice, it is acceptable. After studying a subject, we can rest and relax without having to beat and press. As far as I am concerned, it is feasible to schedule an efficient study time of around 8 hours a day. But make sure you take advantage of those 8 productive hours. Material preparation, full of food and warm clothing. Mental preparation, get enough sleep before the test. Knowledge reserve, review and review. Before the test, in our minds, we have repeated the performance in the test room many times. Again, look at how I build a sense of ritual for an effective study: materials, water, chocolate, calculator, stationery. Before studying, I line up on my desk so I don't have to rummage around when I need something. Spirit. The night before, I plan to study effectively again the next day, so I will sleep peacefully, and if you have studied effectively the day before, you will sleep with a sense of satisfaction and new expectations. Time. For example, 8 o'clock is my official study time. I will ensure that before 8 o'clock in advance to get there, sit in the chair to adjust the most comfortable learning posture. Take half an hour to arrive at the study site. I will do the following. Ritual. Step 1. Start up the prepared items on the table. 2. Take a deep breath and massage your eyes. 3. Massage your temples with your eyes closed. The second step of the ceremony is warm-up. Look at what you will need to learn in the next 2 hours, and have a general idea in mind. I will browse some important concepts and sample questions several times, but I will not regard this activity as my formal learning process, just like you read the book before the exam, and read the important and difficult points several times just for the sake of better performance in the exam, but cannot include this process in the exam itself. I do the activities now, just to wait for formal learning to better reinforce the effect. The last step of the ritual is meditation 1 minute before 8 o'clock. I will close the book. Wait quietly for a minute to pass, and when 8 o'clock arrives, open the book calmly with a sense of joy. With so much foreplay brewing, you have no idea how much I look forward to such an efficient study. There are many different ways to study in college, and I am the same as many people to read chapter by chapter, which is insulting because I will not see the end. I cannot stop being trapped in the book. My method is to optimize this practical process so that I can achieve the goal of learning a subject efficiently in 20 hours with continuous feedback. Step 3. Learn formally and efficiently. Step A. First reading 1. Look at the table of contents to know which section of the chapter is focused on, and what problem the section is designed to solve too. Look at the exercises at the end of the chapter and circle the term, which is the point of this chapter 3. Delimit concepts and term explanations based on terms. If you don't understand some terms, use Google to find term explanations for. After understanding the terms, take the terms with you to understand the diagrams, examples, and cases in the book. 5. Why not just read the text first? In this regard, I have some personal strong cognition. Science and engineering books, in my opinion, cannot talk about the word understanding, especially engineering books, which I think is a manual, talk about the machinery that is the mechanical manual, talk about drawing that is the manual of drawing. These manuals and commodity manuals have no essential difference. It is just that they are connected by a systematic academic language into a book, a volume, but essentially a collection of instructions. In a certain sense, if you study a certain book, if you can't read it, it may not be that you have a problem with understanding, you should change the book. When are we going to talk about comprehension? Chinese reading comprehension, English reading comprehension, literature, I love you, do you understand my heart? That's Chinese, English. The emotional expression needs your understanding, literary thinking needs your understanding, reading Hamlet needs your understanding, and it needs 1,000 readers to have 1,000 Hamlets understanding. When you talk about mechanical institutions, if you say that you do not understand, it is mostly a problem of book expression, not a problem of your understanding. Why do you say you understand something that can be expressed long and wide? Does a mechanical structure lovingly convey some kind of signal to you, and you need to understand her between the lines? Therefore, as long as we understand the cases and charts with the least amount of text, we have reached the understanding of the knowledge, and then we go to see the example questions to know the knowledge application scene, and then we repeatedly do the topic, to achieve the mastery of the knowledge point. Here you also clearly indicate what is known as understanding, knowing, and mastering. Textbooks often have learning requirements, such as this section to achieve the degree of mastering, and the second section as long as understanding is enough. What are understanding, knowing, and mastering? Just looking at these words, do you feel that in the learning process, it is still difficult to grasp the degree of understanding and other words? The description of the previous paragraph has given you a vivid, clear 1. With the least amount of words to understand the case, the chart, to achieve the understanding of knowledge. 2. Then we can look at the examples and know the scenarios of knowledge application. Of course, the knowledge here is the knowledge of the knowledge application scenario. If it is knowing some knowledge, then I give the definition. When I mention a specific term, a theory, you can remember that there is such a thing. 3. We do the question again and again, to achieve the mastery of the knowledge point. 4. If we use what we have learned to explain a problem, or it is directly reflected in practical operations, it is applied. These are the reasons why we need to minimize the text reading of textbooks. Please study in one chapter, because stretching the front will lengthen the feedback cycle, which is not good for the actual effect of learning. After completing the steps described above, you can relax for a while after reading a chapter. I do push-ups during these breaks. Does anyone think fitness is necessary but also a waste of time? Work break, recess period, see no one, 30 push-ups within a minute or two have been completed, not only the combination of work and rest, triceps within a month violent strong. Rest assured, for boys, these 30 push-ups can be assured. 6. This is another important point I want to mention. Energy is divided into physical energy and emotional energy. In the learning process, such as studying in the library, I have seen many people who do not supplement their energy during the learning process. Of course, some people eat snacks, but this has nothing to do with the energy. I said, most people's formal energy supplement time is lunch at noon. In my opinion, for a learner who is interested in efficient learning, only a regular energy replenishment period at lunch is seriously insufficient. Energy supplement. 1. Body energy. Intensive practice people up to 1 hour 1.5 hours, which is very tiring, that is, will consumes a lot of energy. So, you need to refuel in time. 2 hours of efficient study period, divided into 2 periods, a period of about 50 minutes, in the middle of the rest, this time can replenish energy. So, chocolate comes in handy. One of the reasons people are so different from each other is because they eat differently. The body's direct energy is glucose, which it uses like money. When the body is short of energy, the first deprivation is mental energy. Add some sugar, functional drinks, milkshakes, honey, and juice are good sources of energy, which will be high energy, restore the spirit of adventure, and be able to think more calmly. So, chocolate is my personal choice. 2. Emotional energy. A lot of people don't know that emotions are energy, right? A couple, both work hard in the company, but when they return home, they often quarrel. Do they bad temper? In addition, there is a couple who work very early. The couple often go shopping, and their temper is good. But what do you think when I tell you that they're the same couple? Why is that? This is because working hard not only requires material energy but also complicated work consumes a lot of emotional energy during the day. The boss gives you more tasks, and you are not satisfied. Can you perform? Is it not showing? Yeah, you didn't show it. You suppressed your feelings. What is used to suppress this discontent? The answer is indeed material energy, because the body uses it all the time, but it is not enough, because there is also the fact that it is mainly emotional energy that is used to suppress the discontent of the moment. So this leads to a decline in emotional ability, which leads to a decline in self-control, and can't go home and fight? Yes, emotional energy needs to be replenished. Usually, there are such examples, such as I decided to run, and began to run full of confidence for a month. The result is not a few days to slack off, not tired, but emotionally feel tired, producing a sense of boredom. At this time, to solve emotional fatigue, there is a way, that is to relax. Listen to music, listen to good music. Here, would like to make a suggestion. In the economic conditions can afford the scope, try to buy good quality headphones. I also have a solution to boredom, that is, after completing the required amount of tasks, at a certain time when enthusiasm is high, stop studying. It should be emphasized here that interruption occurs at the end of the study period, not as soon as you are happy. Murakami has been running for decades, and one of my favorite things about him is that he ends his run when he feels good, so he can look forward to the next day's run. Because people can always remember the beginning and the end of something clearly, on this basis, I also want to remind you that over time, the main part of our ability to remember a thing is the feeling that the thing left us rather than the event itself. Murakami ends with a time when he feels good, and running for him is naturally a feeling of joy that can be experienced every other day. This is very intelligent. I do not want to give more examples, such as long writers. Many writers often use this method, such as writing climax to the part of the initiative to stop, because the climax emotion is very strong. In the next day to create, it is easy to find the feeling, to continue to write. The causes of things are the same. So take your evening session, after your last productive session, and study for a while longer. Just when you feel happy, productive, stop your study, pack up your books, and go home to play with someone. The reason for this is, in theory, your day of efficient learning is close to the limit. This is just the residual temperature of efficient learning. The so-called efficient is more likely to feel efficient, and then continue will only let the enthusiasm from the peak decline. If you end the day feeling bad about studying, I would say that you are stupid, always trying to exhaust yourself. You worked hard to learn the level of fatigue. Yes, it can be admitted that you worked hard. If learning is just a one-time transaction, your effort is commendable. Unfortunately, learning is a long process. Each time you learn that you are unable to part with the end, you use exhaustion to draw a full stop to the day's learning. It is very moving. However, do you know that the final experience point of your study every day is tired? Today you learn a lot by trying your best, but when tomorrow comes, your last impression of today about learning will only be tired. The day after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Every day ends with the feeling tired, then this tired is the learning pain you bring to each tomorrow. This feeling of tiredness will accumulate, because the feeling of learning at the end of each day will remain and accumulate in your subconscious emotional cognition. You overstudy time and time again, which leads to an accumulation of aversion to learning. Funny, you don't have much to lose. And this is exactly what most people do. They study hard while they are full of energy, and they study endlessly until they are exhausted. I study all day long, good harvest. See, this kind of person will soon slack off. You see him the second day, and the third day may go to see a movie to play. He said, it is a combination of work and rest. He said that there is learning to play. From my unique point of view, each time this person exhausts one day of thorough learning, the result is that in his subconscious impression, he will continue to accumulate a sense of disgust for learning because he always ends learning when he reaches the low point of fatigue. Naturally, there is a cumulative impression that learning makes people tired, so his learning method is not long-term. Because if a person is not scientifically and reasonably adjusted, it is very rare to naturally achieve an energetic plus want to learn every day. Of course, sometimes he has a state of energy, but it is not used properly. Moreover, if his so-called harvest is full, one day suffers a blow. For example, when the reality proves that what he has learned is useless, his heart will double regret that the original effort to study is worth it, and the object of this regret is undoubted learning. He thinks that useless learning makes what he has learned useless. When complaining about the wrong knowledge content, inevitably, he will also have doubts about the behavior of learning itself. You see, a person's aversion to learning, fear of learning, is so accumulated. Now, you say, is there a natural origin of a person's aversion to learning? Don't people love to study? People can love learning, but need methods, and need to follow the psychological characteristics of people. When I say this, please follow my advice. No matter what study, if there is something important and necessary for you, but you hate it, then please study it immediately when you hate it, and stop it immediately when you learn that you love it. Because people are in the pursuit of happiness, you learn emotional happiness when interrupted, and your emotions will lead you to enjoy the familiar happiness again. Even if your emotions will not take the initiative to bring you, it does not matter, because you will not at least psychologically resist. When you see the above concept, in my understanding, to use this concept for learning, is a kind of creation. Next step, review. After reading a chapter, this step is simply easy. Turn over page by page, and have a review of the main knowledge points and concepts in your mind to know what the chapter is about. Then, do the problem. Plan A, find examples, do examples. Do not look at the answer, do as much as you can, finish the answer, then copy the standard answer completely, go to the next chapter to see if there are questions that can be answered, and do not jump back to see the second example, the same way. So repeat the above process. If the 5 examples are copied and still have no clue, then great, that you have not understood the textbook, or your foundation is not solid. This is a better solution. Plan B is, in the face of such phased difficulties, we can only strengthen the targeted understanding of the teaching materials. Circle the recurring keywords and the terms contained in the questions at the end of the chapter in the answer steps of the sample questions, and then further read the concepts, cases, and charts of the relevant knowledge points. So let's come back to the problem. If not, it's even easier, go to Plan C, the book that gets you to the last step. I have reason to believe that it should be similar to solid-state physics, a class of textbooks. Other weak disciplines such as electricians and so on, basically will not let you do 5 examples, copy 5 examples, you don't even have a clue. So here's what you do, put down the books and love life. In addition, I am giving you a gift. When a textbook is finished in the above way, please find a paper with detailed answers from the internet in time to do a test. If the results do not meet your goals, please consciously decide to schedule time to relearn, consolidate, and improve. This is for high-achieving students who have high demands on themselves. This testing advice has more practical implications for the dregs. If you fail the test, you need to re-reinforce your textbook. When you see this special reminder, you are still sober and determined to do a hammer deal with the final exam. After I finished my speech, I spent a lot of time revising the text. So, we must cheer up, come on. In short, to make the mood happy, material preparation should go to buy water, chocolate. Anyway, it's this kind of diary that repeats the same kind of nagging every day, for a long time, and I find that, for me, the biggest effect is probably the effect of suggestion, or, I intentionally make it develop a kind of conditioning. I like this, because I like, simple outline, not very long. I put the notebook on the bed, together, just write the first word on the inside. 2015, then it comes naturally, my friend, remember a simple law of inertia, those at rest tend to stay at rest, and those in motion tend to move. Don't know how to start something? Go to 10 minutes first. Don't know how to talk to a girl? Immediately go over and say, hello. You're going to follow up on that. Get moving. People who move tend to move. I like that line. 2. I oversleep sometimes, too. I saw someone give up the whole project because of a break in planning, and I thought it was stupid of him. For example, I planned to get up early to study yesterday, but the fog in Jinan was too thick. I just received a yellow fog warning in Jinan, which is not good. I thought it was dawn, and the result was 2 hours late. Am I not going to learn? That's right. A lot of people do that. If he overslept to get up at noon, he will be very upset, a day of regret. Forget it, this afternoon or have a good time, tomorrow must get up early. That's stupid, you didn't think? The next day was the same. It doesn't work very well for a long time, you know? When the deadline is due, you get restless and you start to lament how time is so fucking fast and how much time you wasted before you knew it. An explosion of emotions. If you wake up late, just plan the available time of the day. What's the big deal? Similarly, it doesn't matter if a long-term plan has to be interrupted for a day or two, just keep going. What's the big deal? Do we have to let a momentary lapse create a long-term problem? 3. Energy burst period. Each person's high-energy study period may be different. But I want to emphasize the word expected. Observing my long-term activity state, I think that I expect my energy burst to appear at 8 to 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and 6:30 to 10 o'clock in the evening. A total of 8.5 hours, so I will sit for those 8 hours with a lot of extra preparation. For example, a noon nap is necessary work. Around 5:40 p.m., I might nap for a while, which is also necessary work. It is necessary work to listen to your favorite music with strong headphones during breaks. Personal hobby, push-ups are also necessary work. Chocolate is. In short, it is to ensure that these 8.5 hours of efficient use of preparation. Because it mentions a nap around 5:40 p.m., it is not sleepy at that time, and it is a small sleep in advance to prevent fatigue for 3.5 hours at night. Haven't you heard that resting and relaxing before fatigue sets in is the best way to relieve fatigue? You've heard of it, so, again, I'm just reminding you. I do not think that this study is hard, but I do it with great pleasure, with a strong sense of ritual, and every day is like a pilgrimage.